Hyper Shadow. Tails and Amy Rose annihilate Shin Sonic tapes and Shin Knuckles in Sonic 5 the movie. This movie begins with Tails showing his true personality. He had become a kind of villain full of evil who only wanted to unleash chaos on Earth. The Sonic team was together in the Green Hills forest, training their speed. And suddenly Tails took out a donut-shaped artifact from which he fired a powerful green dark chaos energy beam of unknown origin. After hitting Sonic with that beam, the disaster happened, because this energy had the ability to alter the internal chaos energy of the beings it touched. And therefore Sonic's chaos energy was altered at a molecular level. The effects were immediately visible in his body, as his arms, legs, and his entire torso grew to an enormous size. Huge and sharp fangs grew, and his face showed pure evil. Sonic had transformed into Shin Sonic tapes. Shin Sonic tapes began destroying everything in his path. It was as if his only reason for existence was destruction itself. Knuckles, even though he was his friend and had not seen anything that happened and had no idea why Sonic had turned into this, stood on guard to face him. But at that same moment, Tails also shot Knuckles, and without having control of his own body, he transformed into Shin Knuckles and, like Shin Sonic, began destroying everything in his path. So now, having transformed both Sonic and Knuckles, Tails took the device with which he shot the dark chaos energy beams that transformed them and completely destroyed it so that the effects would be irreversible. After this event, Amy Rose arrived at the scene and witnessed everything at the moment when Tails transformed Shin Knuckles. Seeing what he had done to both Sonic and Knuckles, she said, "This can't be. How could you do that to your friends, Tails?" To which Tails answered, "It's obvious, dear Amy. You would never suspect it. Do you know what is difficult about being the smartest person in the world? That everyone else is stupid." And after saying this, immediately Tails disappeared, using another of his technological devices, leaving the place. Amy Rose, with her mouth open in surprise, only said, "Robotnik?" Then Shadow arrived, transformed into Super Shadow, and asked, "What is all this?" To which Amy Rose answered, "Those things are Sonic and Knuckles. Tails just turned them into monsters, but I fear it might not be Tails. Someone else may be behind all this." Faced with all this, Shadow filled with rage and said, "It enrages me to have to face monsters like these and hold myself back from annihilating them." Concentrating all his power, he launched a super punch and with a single impact left Shin Sonic tapes lying on the ground. Then, charging a huge sphere of super chaos energy, he threw it at Knuckles, and after the powerful impact, he also left him lying on the ground. In a matter of seconds, Super Shadow had defeated these two beasts without showing any sign of difficulty and now stood over their bodies, asserting authority. But here the real problem began. When Super Shadow believed he had won, Shin Sonic tapes, lying on the ground, opened his eyes and woke up from his fake collapse. And by releasing an incredible amount of dark energy, he forced Super Shadow to step back, causing great terror in him. Shin Sonic tapes had not only received Super Shadow's previous attack, but had absorbed the chaos energy that Shadow released with the attack. Now he had evolved, transforming into Dark Shin Sonic tapes, releasing around him enormous bursts of a purple energy aura. Concentrating all that power into his right fist, he struck Super Shadow and sent him flying. Then we see Amy Rose arriving to help him while Shadow gets back up, but having lost his transformation. After both look back, neither Dark Shin Sonic nor Shin Knuckles were there anymore. They had escaped.
Hey you! Don't forget subscribe!
Please subscribe to our channel!
Subscribe now!
Shadow fainted after losing in this battle, and Amy Rose carried him to Lord Donna's house so that Lady Yoga, with her knowledge in veterinary medicine, could give him first aid. When Amy Rose and Shadow arrived, they were shocked, because Tails was waiting there very casually, as if none of this had anything to do with him. Immediately Tails asked them, "What is happening out there? We just saw the news and those monsters are destroying everything." Angry, Amy Rose went toward him, grabbed him by the neck, and pointing her hammer at him said, "Tell me something that only the Tails I know would know." Tails, scared but perceptive about what was happening, imagined where this was going and answered, "Something only I know, huh? You are madly in love with Sonic, but you can't find the way to tell him." After this answer from Tails, Amy Rose blushed and let him go out of embarrassment, immediately lowering her guard. Tails asked again, Are you going to explain what is happening? Shadow then said, I also want answers, Fox. Amy Rose then began telling them everything that happened, finishing with the confirmation of the suspicion she had. The phrase that Tails had said about being the smartest being in the world was so egocentric that she realized it was something only Dr. Eggman would say. Now knowing everything that had happened, Tails asked Amy Rose to take him to the remains of the device that the other Tails had used to transform Shin Sonic and Shin Knuckles. When they arrived, Tails picked it up and decided to analyze it to find a way to rebuild it and return Sonic and Knuckles to normal. Meanwhile, the United States was being destroyed everywhere, so Shadow said, We can't stand here doing nothing while Tails checks that device. We must go fight. After saying this, Shadow and Amy Rose went to the battlefield to face Dark Shin Sonic and Shin Knuckles, while Tails went to the secret laboratory in Lord Dona's house to examine the device. They had barely arrived when Dark Shin Sonic fired a powerful chaos energy blast from his mouth that almost killed them, if not for Super Shadow transforming again and protecting Amy Rose. Now Super Shadow matched the power of Dark Shin Sonic tapes, but Shin Sonic was more cunning than he seemed. By transferring part of his power to Shin Knuckles, he caused his body to mutate as well, and he transformed into Dark Shin Knuckles. Now, outnumbered and also outpowered, they were more cooked than a fried egg. But Shadow would not stand still. Launching himself toward Amy Rose, he transferred part of his Super Shadow power to her, and now Amy Rose transformed into Super Amy Rose. We then see these two Super Hedgehogs launching into battle against the two Dark Shin warriors, but the power of these villains was too high for our heroes. Shadow said, I'm sorry, Amy Rose, but I must try this power now, taking her hand. He took back the Super Hedgehog energy he had previously given her, and began absorbing energy from the Earth's core. Now, raising his power to the maximum, Shadow stopped being Super Shadow and became Hyper Shadow. For moments, Shadow surpassed the power of Dark Shin Sonic and Dark Shin Knuckles, but he had a numerical disadvantage that was almost impossible to match no matter his power. Shadow said, I have confirmed that this power works, so now I can do this. Returning to Amy Rose again, he shared part of his power with her, but now from his Hyper Shadow state. Amy Rose transformed again, but this time not into Super Amy Rose, but into Hyper Amy Rose. They continued a battle full of enormous explosions of power on such a titanic scale that reality itself almost broke. Unfortunately, Hyper Shadow and Hyper Amy Rose were overcome by exhaustion, and now both were lying on the ground, having lost their transformations. Then the villain behind everything finally appeared, Dr. Eggman Robotnik Webera. Eggman arrived with his malicious smile and confirmed that he himself had created a robotic copy of Tails to deceive Sonic and Knuckles and transform them into his Shin soldiers. He said, And now, thanks to my great genius, the Sonic team is defeated, and there is no one on Earth who can stop me. He immediately ordered Dark Shin Sonic and Dark Shin Knuckles to annihilate Shadow and Amy Rose, who no longer had strength to continue the battle. But at that exact moment, the real Tails arrived, who had already analyzed how the artifact that Eggman used worked. By reversing its energy, he fired at the Shin soldiers and returned them to normal. Now we see Sonic and Knuckles, extremely angry, capturing Eggman and preventing the fall of Team Sonic and the future destruction of Earth.